All right, I would love to throw 100 feet further in disc golf. Let's see how this goes. Whoa, 100 feet in one day? That sounds awesome. Let's see how that goes. Well, that didn't work. What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we're going to talk about a pretty crucial topic to us getting better in the game of disc golf. There are tons of people out there probably asking a similar question. Why aren't you helping me out, YouTube man? Why am I not throwing any farther? There are tons of amazing teachers out there, like the one we referenced in the beginning of this video, as well as several other amazing people as well. The problem is though, watching these amazing teachers help you try to improve your game is quite different than the reality of you implementing it into your game. Trust me, I wish it was an easy process because I wish I could gain 100 feet in a day. I think there's a major reason that we struggle to implement these things into our game, and it's something my brother has coined, feel versus real. And it rhymes, so it obviously has to be true. But let's take a few minutes to talk about what it actually means. So quick backstory. I played the game of disc golf for 7 years before I realized that you could change literally anything about your form. It's not like someone told me I wasn't allowed to, I just literally didn't think that you could change anything about your form. I know, pretty weird. I genuinely believed that if I just showed up to the course and wanted it more the next day, then things would go better. But reality is that if I wasn't willing to change things in my form, no matter how good or right they felt, I was never gonna see those amazing results I was actually aiming for. And let me tell you that there was a shock the first time that I saw myself on camera. I legitimately looked at how I was throwing and thought that someone had somehow swapped me with another player because there was no possible way that I was throwing like that. Spoiler alert, no one did that. It was definitely me. So imagine my surprise when I tried to implement something from Danny Lindahl into my own form and I thought, this Danny dude is crazy. I'm doing what he's saying and it's literally not working. And that's when I first came in contact with this idea of feel versus real. For a long time, I thought I was the only one experiencing this until I started giving disc golf lessons and came across a situation where I had a player who was leaning over their disc in an extreme fashion. They were confused why everything was coming out on a hyzer, and when I showed them footage of them throwing, they were like, oh, well that makes sense. So I asked them to stand up as straight as they could while they were throwing and let me know how it feels, and they threw something like this. In my mind, I was like, bro, did you listen to what I said at all? But that would make me a very rude coach trying to help someone out. He turned around and looked at me and was super excited like, hey, I think I did it. I think I stood up really tall. And that is the rub of real versus feel. Because his body was so used to leaning over the disc like this, a slight adjustment to here, which looks very minimal to the rest of us, was a massive difference in his mental side of things and how it felt for him to throw. So I thought, why don't we make it feel even more extreme than that? I told him I wanted him to grab the disc and I wanted him to feel like he was almost throwing backwards, as if he was trying to yank on a roller. And when he did, his throw looked a little more like this. So the question is, why did that work? The disc golf throw is mechanically intense while still being an athletic move. To all the haters saying, Frisbee golf's not a sport, it's a hobby. Sick, you can leave literally anytime you want. For most people playing the game, we have had so many reps with our throw that it is almost subconscious what we are doing while we're throwing a disc. Thus, when we introduce an active thought process into that subconscious motion, it becomes incredibly tricky to actually know what's happening while we're throwing versus what it feels like is happening while we're throwing. So I want to give you 3 quick helpful things to help bring that feel into much more of a real environment while you're throwing the disc. Oh hey, this is me crossing the bridge, not only this physical one, but a metaphorical one towards a new opportunity with a brand new product being launched today over at flightowel.com. I have loved flight towel products since I discovered them a few years ago, and I've carried one on me every single round for at least least the last 2 years. The team did an amazing job putting the logo on the towels, and when you buy a Robbie C towel, it directly supports this channel and what we're trying to do here. Plus, you can still use the code to save yourself a little money in the process, even if you aren't buying Robbie C towels, because there's other amazing people on the team that you can go out and support as well. Flight Towel restocks their products every Tuesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so you're going to want to go check them out. And if they don't have what you're looking for, maybe wait, and I bet they'll have it on the next restock. I want to say thank you to the team for this opportunity, and thank you to each and every one of you who supports the channel in this way. Y'all are like literally the best. The first is that you're gonna need a camera. You can't know what it actually looks like while you're throwing if you never actually record yourself while you're throwing. It doesn't have to be a Jomez or Gatekeeper quality camera. It can literally be your iPhone and having a friend record you while you're throwing. The best tips are to have a friend film you from the side like so, and also directly behind you. These give you clear-cut angles so that you can see pretty much everything that's going right and wrong with your form. I'd also give a friend permission to film you candidly, because sometimes when the camera turns on, we actually adjust our throw to what we think is right, rather than throwing how we normally would or naturally would. The second is to use extremes to your advantage. While working with my coach, every time that I thought I was going back a little less, I was less active with the left side, I would watch the tape and go, nope, you're still swinging that left shoulder way far back, which just shows you that we're all trying to improve together. I gave myself a super extreme example. I wanted to make it so that my left hand only left the disc what I thought was like 2 or 3 centimeters. In my mind, I thought I was barely separating, but that was once again the feel. The real was that I was separating the right amount, and that's what I needed to focus on until that became a subconscious or natural movement. The other part of real is not being afraid to eliminate the run up and going back to a standstill throw. This can feel extreme, but like we said, we're using these to our advantage. Starting off with a standstill where I'm just focusing on getting things right, from engaging the hips to using the arms, will eventually allow me to move back to a 1-step, and then from there I can move into a walking 4-step until finally I feel confident enough to re-engage with the entire run-up. One of the biggest errors that we make when trying to change our form is to keep our normal pace or our normal speed while drastically changing something in our form, and there's just really no way for your timing to stay the same while you're making that big of a mental shift. So it's okay to slow things down until it feels comfortable and subconscious, and then we can always add speed back to it later. Now, the last thing, and probably the hardest pill to swallow when it comes to changing our form, especially for distance, is that it takes time. When we watch a pro throw, it's so fluid and smooth, and that is part of why they can throw as far as they do. Yet when we change something, we have to understand that it's going to be a little Frankenstein-esque until we really hammer down the details and cause it to become a subconscious movement again. And what does it take to get past the Frankenstein stage? You guessed it, time. It takes time. As much as we hate to say it, making changes in our form, especially to gain distance, can often require about 1 or 2 steps back in order to take a massive leap forward. Do I wish that I could wake up tomorrow and throw 450 feet with ease? Yeah, I do. But the reality is that it's going to take time to add that kind of distance to my game. And if we're not willing to put in the time, then we're going to create some really nasty habits trying to shortcut the process to excellence. And while I'm all about efficiency, I never want it to happen at the cost of doing it the right way. I am so grateful for the number of coaches and teachers we have available on YouTube alone, not to mention in your local scene. Honestly, I don't know how people got much better, much faster when YouTube didn't exist. So if you've been around that long, let me know in the comments below. How did y'all improve back in the day? I can genuinely say it makes the long hours of editing, filming in the cold, and all of the other things totally worth it when you guys show up in the comments and let us know that it's actually helping your game. Because that's why we're doing it, for you, because we want to see you succeed as much as we possibly can. So with that in mind, I'm going to throw it over to someone who watches these videos, who I met while I was filming this video. Matt, why don't you close things out for us?
Hey, my name is Matt Seifert. Thanks for watching. Hope you're having a great week, but for now, I'm going to leave you with a birdie.